Light modules are an information and immersion device. They're one of the gadgets you can install to enable your racing simulation to reach out to you in the real world and escape the boundaries of the screen, and they can be surprisingly effective at doing this. It's just lights, but don't underestimate them. They can be a lovely complement to your experience, like a blob of ketchup on a fry-up. Great without, but better with. These are the Simrep Engineering multi-LED display modules, made in the Netherlands and listed on their site for around €150 including tax. Bear in mind the tax you pay may vary depending on region. The kit includes a pair of Simhub compatible light modules featuring a matrix of 125 individually addressable LEDs each in an aluminium enclosure and glass face, supplied with mounting brackets, fixing hardware and USB-C cables. Now, if you've never heard of Simrep Engineering before, then don't feel silly about it, because neither had I. I ran into them for the very first time at Sim Racing Expo in person. They have a background in electrical and motorsport engineering, and they're the ones that collaborated with Cosworth to produce that crazy €9,500 LMP2 wheel. They clearly know what they're doing because they've been doing business-to-business stuff for a while now, but now they're reaching into direct-to-customer accessories, the more reasonably priced ones, such as these. And because these MLDs are a visual device, for once I can review something and not have to come up with some crazy way of describing how it feels or describing what it does. You can just see it. You can literally see for yourself and make your own mind up from what you see. I've actually been excited about getting these installed. Feels like a bit of a treat, so let's see what they can do. Now, before I continue, Simrep Engineering has provided the modules seen in this video free for review, but please bear in mind this is a review, not an ad. If there's good or bad there, I'll say it how I see it. Please watch the whole video through before coming to a decision, but if you do proceed to go on and buy, then you can get 5% off Simrep Engineering's shop using the code DannyLee, and check the description for more info on that. The first thing you'll see when you flip the lid are the two light modules. They're well enclosed with an aluminium shell, shiny glass face, USB-C slot at the rear and tapped screw holes for mounting. The brackets provided are 3D printed and designed to attach to aluminium profile rigs, though you can get brackets for tube rigs and other mounting types, so if you don't have a profile rig then you might not be left out. Now, each of the light modules require a USB connection themselves individually, so that means that you'll need to make sure you have two USB ports free on your computer in order to fit these in. The cables provided are fairly long, but if your computer's any kind of distance away from your rig, then you will definitely need a USB extension to go along with it. Now, because these things need two USB cables in order to work, you may find yourself needing to plug them into a hub, but make sure that it's a powered USB hub, because when I connected these to my unpowered simple USB hub, they didn't work properly. They lit up and they had power, but they weren't responding to commands. When I plugged them into the powered USB hub that I've got next to the rig, they were totally fine. So make sure that if you are connecting it to a USB hub, that it's a powered one. Once mounted up and connected in a position you can see them, you bring them online by activating them within Simhub. There's a step-by-step manual for doing so from Simrep's site, so don't worry if you don't know a thing about Simhub, just follow these steps and you should be sound. The manual states that you should avoid setting into 100% brightness if you're leaving the modules permanently on to avoid heat buildup. They do get hot if you leave them on full blast. For example, I left the car sitting in the pits for about 20 to 30 minutes with the modules lit up full spread like this. They got pretty hot. They didn't have any issues, but they were toasty. Much the same way as my camera lighting gear can also build up heat if left on 100%, so I can see why it happens. If you left them running like this over 8 hours, I can imagine that posing a bit of a problem. Lights do get warm, even LEDs, if there's 125 of them packed into a closed case. In other words, if you're just using them for telemetry and flag lights, the in-race stuff, go for it, whack them up to full brightness. But if you're going to be leaving them with a fancy idle graphic like I do, then you'll have to turn the brightness to around halfway to avoid major heat buildup. With that important consideration out of the way, here's the good stuff. With Simhub, you can have the MLDs relay all sorts of information and light animations depending on what you want, and there's a raft of preloaded functions and templates that come included, be it spotter functions, flags, pit status, ABS and TC warnings just to start. This means that they're pretty much ready to go out of the box and you don't have to mess around designing your own light schemes, but you can easily edit the ones that are there. Driving with the modules installed, just below the screen line on either side, they do genuinely add a dash of theatre to the simulation. ABS warning lights are regularly flashing when trail braking into certain corners. Flag lights grab more attention, which can be useful. Shift lights are another sensory input to help you out. The spotter warning keeps tabs on cars either side. There's just always something the panels are trying to tell you, like a little cricket on your shoulder. Editing or creating new light animations within Simhub is pretty simple to do, and you can work off what's already there to help you out. But if you like to tinker with stuff, you'll love this. For example, the spotter signal was too easily missed, in my opinion, so I changed it from red to yellow. Simple, just draw over the existing pixels in a different colour and I can test it out instantly. I also wanted to change the yellow and green flags to go from a vertical flip to a whole screen flash. Again, simple, just change one of the animation frames to a full fill and blank out the other one. Now instead of doing an up-down flip, it's just a full flash of a block of lights. Much better. I also fancied changing the standby mode from a Simrep logo to my own, so I went ahead and drew it out, adding a whole bunch of ego points to the rig. So the important questions, do they seem like they're worth the price? I would say they will comfortably satisfy your expectations for what you pay in terms of what you get, in terms of material and craftsmanship. The modules themselves look pretty premium in nature due to the machined aluminium shell and glass front, and the barrage of 125 dynamic LEDs per device is impressive and capable, and it's topped off with a 2-year warranty. If I didn't know what they cost, I'd have guessed them being priced at more like 200 or 250 euros rather than 150. I'm just used to seeing that kind of price tag for niche hardware like this, given the metal shell, real glass front and sheer number of real lights. 3D printed brackets are off-putting to some, but they are at least done well, so I've just had to get over it. What do they really add? What's their benefit to you? Do you need them? Well, no, they're a luxury. They're purely an additional immersion element for your sim rig. They're something you buy when you've already bought everything else. I would put light modules into the same category as wheels with screens. You don't really actively look at them much, but you feel their presence out of the corner of your eye. They're there to complement the experience, but are by no means mandatory. They're mostly for your entertainment. I consider them a vanity item for the rig that makes it look more inviting when you're not in it, and add a splash of theatre and colour when you are. For the most part, because this is a device that works purely by vision, you can actually make up your mind throughout this video whether you actually want a pair of these or not. It's kind of simple. If you've watched this video and now you want a pair of these, you'll probably like them. Whereas if you don't, you won't. They hold no secrets, what you see is what you get. But the fact that each module contains 125 individually addressable, Simhub compatible LEDs means that for the people who like to customize, this could be a really nice toy for you. And there we are. What do you think? Please feel free to comment, and thank you very much for watching. Cheers again.